Today on Lightning Bugs.
I just could not get the vocal. I was getting really in my head about it. And Jeremy and Jesse and Chris, our very close friends who engineered the record, they were working and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, there was still no progress. And so I said, well, let me just go do let's go home. I'm just going to do a demo vocal of it. Often, I'll go in there and I'll be like, directing, conducting myself and all this stuff. And I just remember I had my hands in my pockets, my pants pockets. And I was half asleep and I sang from start to finish and that was it. But I did not think it was going to be. I was planning on it not being, in fact. I wonder how much realness I lost in the process of making my records from doing it at home, engineering my own vocals and having a sort of obsession to get the take that I thought was the perfect take.
Yeah.
Which is whatever that is. It's like, how in tune am I? Or how whatever. And you listen to these great records and people are all over the place, but you never notice because it's just so soulful.
Hi, if you're enjoying listening to Lightning Bugs, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps a lot. It's Thursday again. We made it another week. Today's guest is singer and songwriter Emily King. She's an amazing R&B artist with 4 albums, 3 Grammy nominations under her belt. I particularly like her album from 2020 called Sides. It's one of those rare retrospectives that's prematurely a retrospective that breaks the rules and is one of the greats, I think. It's all acoustic versions of what she's done before. Anyway, Emily's a lot of fun. I think you'll really enjoy our chat. We talk about finding your authentic voice as an artist in a world of thousands of takes and click tracks. So without further ado, Emily King. Is that the mic you sing all your famous shit through?
Only the best shit.
Right. So you crack that out when you know it's going to be a platinum classic.
It's got a lot of bad ideas come through this microphone. Let me tell you. It's wow.
That's amazing.
Yes, this is the home studio mic that I use. And as I said before we started recording, I'm moving out of this apartment. And so I'm debating whether to bring this microphone with me, wherever I go, or to record in a real studio. How about that?
Oh, so what you're debating is not whether or not to leave the microphone for the next tenant. It's whether or not you use it in this, whether or not you go into a studio or you just keep up the home recording vibe.
That's exactly the issue. That's the dilemma.
You can bring it with you to the studio.
I enjoy doing both. Yeah, I'm kind of lazy. I don't know if I want to bring. I do love recording ideas at home, of course, because I don't want to go to the studio and waste a bunch of time and money on bad ideas. So I try to get all the bad ideas out at home for the neighbors.
Well, I love
and then
that
bring
you
only the good ones.
Well, I love that you honor your bad ideas, though. I mean, that's being a podcast about creativity. I like debunking any notions that any of us that make things don't have a lot of shitty ideas that we have to plow through.
I do. I agree, and I wish. When I was younger, I wish more people kind of talked about that rather than only highlighting the successes. Because you think, "Wow, am I the only one?"
Well, you can understand. I mean, now that you're making records, I mean, it doesn't really help your brand to put your shitty ideas out there. So. I think the best that you can do is to admit that you have them. That said, what's the worst idea that's ever come through that microphone?
I had a terrible one today.
Awesome. Can you give us a preview?
When
you say when it's a bad idea, what makes it a bad idea? What point do you know that?
I was just wondering that myself because I was, it's like when you try on the right pair of shoes and you try on a couple of pairs and one of the pairs you walk around and you spend a lot of time in thinking like, this could work, and you're probably going to buy that and never wear them.
Right.
That's what I do. But every now and then there's a no-brainer. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about these ideas. I had some ideas say, yeah, that could work. I could get away with it. But it doesn't feel like a yes, like a no-brainer.
I don't know.
I buy a lot of shoes.
Well, I think it's a good analogy actually, because when you get really used to the last pair of shoes you were wearing. And nothing will ever do. So when you go in and you're putting on those stiff ass shoes and you're walking around with some stranger saying, "Is your toe touching the end?" And you're like, "No, should it be?" And you just don't know. You can walk back and forth, but who knows? I think that's the way it is too. And with ideas, I mean, you think I mean, how many ideas? Well, not how many, but I mean, is it a thing for you to think, well, this is not a good idea and turns out to be a really good one later on? Everyone talks you out of killing it.
But that happens too.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't sometimes. Well, I think the best thing to do, which is sometimes hard to accomplish, is to create without judgment. And then take a walk and buy yourself some shoes. And then come back to it maybe the next day.
Right.
And then you have more of an honest perspective on what you did. But often in the moment, I just don't know. Don't know. So even 10 minutes away from the song, I'll come back to it and I'll be able to judge, is this a yes or just a maybe, or it needs more work, it needs more finessing. Let me work on it. The top half works, but the bottom falls flat, or vice versa.
Yeah. I mean, they're comfortable, but they have like 5 inches of stack foam beneath them, and it says Kanye really big across it. And you're like, I don't know, these feel pretty good, but I'm not really sure I want to wear these.
Yeah, this is an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the only one who likes these.
Well, I've noticed a lot of times with my songs, some of the what I would say were the worst ideas keep haunting me. Like I'll be going to sleep and it's repeating over and over in my head, and it starts to piss me off because I'm thinking, if it sucks as bad as I think it does, why is it still knocking at the door? And this terrible phrase is singing over and over and over in my head. Do you have that?
Those, I think that's a very good symbol that is not, in fact, a bad idea.
The fact that it's coming back to haunt you means something.
Coming back, it wants to be heard. It needs you to express it, or you'll go insane. I've just certainly had those feelings.
Since you've been sort of, I mean, you were putting more. I think if I'm reading everything right, you were kind of putting more stock into, home recording or non-studio recording even before the pandemic. I mean, Scenery was recorded pre-pandemic, right?
That's right. It was upstate, yeah.
And while that's not exactly like a, something like a broke ass apartment recording, it was done in a garage or something upstate?
Yeah, it was. And I certainly, years and years ago, once upon a time, I was signed to a major label and I had this big budget and I went into the studios and all this stuff. And this is almost before the internet even existed. That's how old I am.
This is the one back in 2008, the one that was the first one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I, well, I thought, well, this is the way it is. Nice, big, fancy studio. Let me order Chinese food.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go home. I'm not going to do any work.
Right. Well, I mean,
rock and roll. Am I right, Ben? That's what you do. You invite your friends, you order food.
Yep.
And you like take pictures and go home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that has its, I mean, but you're heading back to that. Sounds like you're going to do that again.
I'm going back I miss those days.
It's cool. I mean, look, the thing is when you're recording in a big ass studio and you've got craft services in there and people who you don't know and someone bringing a camera around for the fucking making of the album that you haven't made yet. When all that stuff's happening, as annoying as it is, it's still creating the sense of an event.
Right.
I think there's something to that.
I love it. No, I do. I love it. And I think it's nice to say I'm going to work now for 2 weeks at this place. And, you know, what I was getting at was when I got dropped from the label, I didn't have that luxury anymore. And of course, I'm not the only one who records from home, but back in 2008, it was a little more rare, and you you had to figure stuff out with my producer, who was much better at that stuff than I am, Jeremy Most. And it just made me look back on those days with the big budgets, and I was just kind of laughing to myself, like, wow,
Jeremy's guitar
wasted
player,
a lot of time.
Right? I'm sorry, I
Jeremy,
cut right in on you.
No, it's fine.
He's so good.
That's how we met. He's amazing.
Yeah, I love
we met
his
on
touch.
a gig. Thank you. Yeah, I do too. I'm thanking you for him.
Yeah,
because he's not here right now. But him and I have been working on records together since he subbed for my guitar player on a gig, and that guitar player, Ricky Strings, shout out. I remember him just saying, "You gotta hire this guy. He's so funny. He's so funny." I'm like, "Are you talking yourself out of a gig?" And then so I did. I hired him.
Good,
and he was funny.
I've taught myself out of gigs number of
that
times.
You didn't want to do.
No, it's not that I didn't want to do them. I remember going in to play bass on a session in Nashville well before I made my first record. And, you know, some songwriter, it was kind of a songwriter publishing demo. And I don't know, it's just like I got there, showed up and plugged in and was ready to go to add this stuff. I was like, who the fuck played bass on this? This is great. And he's like, oh, that was just me, but I'm not a bass player. So I think you are now. Don't pay me for this. I used to do that because, you know.
That's honesty. You're just like, maybe he needed that confidence. That was very nice of you.
Well, I just love what people do when they don't think the red light is on, you know? Like they don't think it's permanent. They think it's just a placeholder. And so often that stuff just really means it. And the things afterwards are too self-conscious for me.
Oh my God. That is the truth. That happened to me on this last album that Jeremy and I made, this acoustic record.
Oh, Sides.
And Sides.
That is so good.
Oh, thanks.
It's classic. Can I say something about that and then to hold your thought? Like
oh, sure.
I don't want to step on your thought, but I just want to say that record, it's a little bit like premature autobiographies. Like when you go making sort of an album of that nature that's acoustic, it's met anyway. Just to cut to, that's the best I've heard that done in forever. Like it's just
wow.
It revisits the songs in just the coolest way. You guys absolutely slayed that. Gets 5 stars in my magazine.
Thank you. Wow.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Coming from you.
Continue your thought.
Well, thank you. It was a joy to make that record. It was a studio that we went into. Okay. And I just remember the title track Sides specifically, I just could not get the vocal. I was getting really in my head about it. And Jeremy and Jesse and Chris, our very close friends who engineered the record. They were working and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, there was still no progress. And so I said, well, let me just go do let's go home. I'm just going to do a demo vocal of it. And I walked in with my hands in my pockets, just because sometimes body language makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
Often, I'll go in there and I'll be like, directing, conducting myself and all this stuff. And I just remember I had my hands in my pockets, my pants pockets. And I was half asleep and I sang from start to finish. And that was it. Mm-hmm. But I did not think it was going to be. I was planning on it not being, in fact. Why does that happen, Ben? Why?
Well, it's not a precise science at all. And I think home recording makes those sorts of things very difficult when it's a home recording because something about the drama of the studio, the clock is ticking. And you have these frustrations of going in like the red light's on, record, we're going to do it. And you go through all of this stuff and then you find yourself getting up off the couch, sticking your hands in your pockets and just doing one. You learn a lot through that, which is that you don't know anything. You don't know. You have to have people around you trust. You have to, you were emphasizing sleeping on it. Yeah. If you can afford to.
On it.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's a great point. I wonder how much realness I lost in the process of making my records from doing it at home, engineering my own vocals and having a sort of obsession to get the take that I thought was the perfect take.
Yeah.
Which is whatever that is. It's like, how in tune am I, or how whatever. And you listen to this great records and people are all over the place, but you never notice because it's just so soulful, So yeah.
Well, I think that my personal opinion on that would be that we're all going to focus. If you give a singer the microphone and the recording button and leave them on their own, we're going to obsess over a few things that may not,
Oh, yeah.
matter.
Oh, my God. More than a few.
Yeah. But I would also say that what really matters in a recording is not something that we can control as much as we think. So if you're distracted by the tuning, great. Be distracted by the tuning. Something soulful might go down. You are not the person to really know that. And I was talking to Sarah B about and she forgot this. She was recording one of her tracks, and she was on the other side of the studio. I couldn't see her. I was in the control room. I got shivers the whole time. My assistant engineer, was about to burst into tears. Sarah comes in and her mascara's run all the way down her face. And so she completely felt it. Then she says, okay, can we do the real take now? Because that was the sound check, right?
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. She's the best.
She is the best. She focuses on...
I cried just talking to her. That's how soulful she is.
She does do that, doesn't
she? Yeah. No, that's where it's at. Really, truly.
I think yeah, continue.
It's not easy. It's not always easy to get out of your way. You have to trick yourself. And that's sort of the challenge, day-to-day challenge.
With Jeremy, do you find after all this time working together, do you now feel like you know when to trust him and when he'll say something like, nah, that's Jeremy's world. I know if he likes that, it must be terrible. Do you have that issue? I do that when I work with people a lot. I start writing them off because I'm like, I got your number. You think that's good? Yeah?
I know why you like this. I know. Yeah, this is your favorite flavor. Of course you're gonna like the cookies and cream.
Yeah. Now let me
Yeah.
do it the right way.
Right. It's funny because you do really get to know each other, but how often I forget to know myself and trust myself. Even at this point, it's just always a remembering, trust yourself. Just yesterday, I had an idea and I I played it for him. I don't know music theory. I was a bad student and I never learned it. But I played this idea for him and he said, "Well, you're singing, I'm hearing a different key from what you're singing on this song. I'm hearing it." And I was like, okay, I kind of understand what you're saying, but like this is where I feel the song and this is the melody that I'm gonna put on top of the song.
Yeah.
And he was like, "But can you just explain what key you're hearing it as?" Like, no, I can't explain that. So we're totally
You and Sarah, same thing.
Speaking a totally different language.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at that point I walked home and I was feeling kind of bummed out. And I said, I'm just gonna trust myself because I know that I know like at this point, I trust I'm not gonna sing a completely bad note on a song on purpose.
Well, tell him, here's something, I'll arm you with something. Have him tell him and that it's a synthetic mode.
Okay.
Tell him you've made a synthetic mode shift. Actually, that helps out with people like me because then I go, okay, all right, she's defining a new mode. Got it.
Synthetic mode shift. I'm writing this down.
Synthetic mode shift. Or just synthetic mode.
Synthetic mode. Then he'll trust me. I just needed the right words.
Well, the thing is we listen to music and we make music with a set of expectations and a language, as if like if this had been like 20 years ago, of course you'd have been 5 years old, but if it had been 20 years ago when we've been talking and you had said like, I'll go back to Kanye, that shit cray. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? That's not the way you use that word. But once it's introduced and now we have that as a baseline. So if you tell him, it's the equivalent to like, I'm Sarah Palin and I've just made up a new word.
Right. This is the word now.
This is the new word. And just stick by it. That helps us because then we just go, okay, every time she sings a second, it's a minor second. That's like okay, I understand. That's what she's doing.
Well, isn't confidence the key to this whole game anyway? When I make a mistake, I do it one more time and then it's like on purpose,
That's right. 3 mistakes is jazz, as Miles Davis is quoted as saying.
It's great. It's true.
It's so good.
So good.
Twice everyone's wondering still, and then when you triple down on that shit, it works.
Go all the way. All the way.
No.
Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. And
Yay.
Wow. How is that person
genius.
so confident? How are they so confident to be so bad?
It's really a Republican strategy that they've taken from jazz.
Oh, jeez.
Triple down on it.
Triple down. It's a shame.
Your parents know music, right?
My parents are singers and composers, and they sing together in a sort of Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross style of jazz singing, bebop. And my father comes from the tradition of writing lyrics to solos, and they're incredible. And I learned all this music watching them sing it and listening to them sing it.
That's pretty great. To have creative parents, to me, seems just so weird and fairy tale. But I also think a lot of my creativity was spurred by, I'm not I'm misunderstood, like being a kid
Yeah.
and having that energy of like adults don't do this, so I'm going to rebel and
Mhm.
make things because
That's
adults,
important too, because they don't understand me.
yeah, I mean it propels a young artist to, that's part of it, but for you it has to be a little
Yeah.
more positive than that, because
That's interesting. Yeah. I think it was always, yeah. That's some of the best music is made from that sort of angst and the tried and misunderstood feelings. And I certainly had those anyway. but
yeah,
not at home where I can
uh-huh,
we talk about the gigs and we talk about and a lot of, starting out, I was being coached by my parents, and
that's
my
great.
mother really guided me, to like get a record deal and all this stuff.
Watching your process, I really identified with you more than most other artists, because
Oh, really?
I feel like there is a sort of there's a working class of musicians, which is just a different way of being than an art school kid. So your art school kids are like, sure, I'll do whatever the hell I want to, and that's it. And that I'm not listening to anybody. I'm making and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Then there are others who see it as our job to a degree to do the right thing, or to be there, to show up, to get things right, to make a living out of it. And I call those working class because there's a sense that it is, I don't want to say an occupation, but I felt like the way that you worked with the orchestra was very, very aware of the fact that you're a person like everyone else on stage. You're all here to do a thing that we're all trying to accomplish together. And the humanity of that brought out a good performance. Now, sometimes someone comes in and they're like kind of weird, and they're just going to do what they're going to do. And man, if that doesn't work too. But I
Right.
feel like I
Right. I
identify
understand.
with someone who would bother to take the experience and the words of an A&R person and a producer and a record company started by a man who made pop and R&B and rock history. Sure.
Right. Right.
Sure.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Here's this person who's, let me just do. But I like what you said, because I think I learned that behavior by failing so much.
Yeah. Will you repeat that
there
for the kids at home?
Yeah, I learned because I certainly failed many, many times with whether it was a showcase for the label or whatever it was. So many times I went home crying, thinking, this is it. That's it for me. I got one chance. That's over.
Oh,
And so
God.
now when I'm in a situation like with you in the orchestra, there's something to this. There's appreciation and like I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be there. I think you just get more humble with with age.
Yeah.
But we're there to serve the music. I mean, that's just it. That's the end, and have a good time. I don't really. I don't know. Life is too short to have like a huge ego and then nobody has fun. Like, let's just have a good time.
Yeah.
Let's order Chinese after or whatever.
And I think I feel the same way about it as you do, which is I think why I identify with that. Back in my time, there was such a mystique and a respect for the artist who just seemed to just be completely self-consumed and eccentric. I That's what
Yes.
it is. I think it was the
Yes.
eccentricity, the no compromise and all that. And look, I mean, I've engaged in that myself too, probably more than you, but at the center of my soul, I feel like I'm on a stage with other people who have completely different stories and understandings and appreciation of music. And we're going to make a thing, and I would like everyone to be present for it. And I don't need to be that fucking guy, but
Yeah.
I will say that it works. I had one guy who you would never guess was of that ilk, the eccentric. And he was so unyielding and brief about everything that it worked.
Really?
He just said, I'm going to do what I do. You guys get your thing right. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And there was no yielding. He didn't look at the conductor. He didn't make any concessions at all. And then we knew where we stood. And all of a sudden, his superpowers came out. He was awesome. No one wanted to talk to the guy. I was counting the minutes to get the fuck out of there.
Sure.
But the thing is, but it worked.
But if it
and
comes,
I had
that's the thing.
Mucho respect for the guy.
Absolutely. I think I, you know, to this day, I see an artist like that and I just want to be like them. I think it's so cool. And
I know.
If it comes naturally to you, I've certainly met people who I'm like, oh, that's who they really are, actually.
Yeah.
That's, it's not like an act. And I think everybody should just be themselves. And that's just not my thing. I think I tried it a couple of times.
Yeah, you try it on.
I tried it on. It's not good.
I can't really see that.
Yeah.
I can't really see it.
You can't see it. No.
Okay, can you give me an example? I mean, like, could you have a cringeworthy example of like trying on being a diva?
So many cringy tries. So it's awful. It's awful. And I think, I remember I was trying to figure out what kind of performer I was going to be. And I was wondering, because I just loved going to a club and seeing somebody, in there, I'm here and nobody else matters. And it's like, then they come up for air every now and then. And I thought, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Always been cool.
But what's always cool? And then I tried doing that and it didn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
And then I see someone like Bob Marley, and he's doing a version of that. He's got his eyes closed. He's going within himself, but in a generous way where it's not, he's there for us, but in order to be there for us, he has to go within himself. He's not turning away completely. Yeah. And then I said, well, maybe that's like where it's at for me. That's the goal for me can I have this charge within myself where it's like, this is my party, but you're all invited at the same time. Yeah. And I'm always trying to accomplish that. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I like hearing someone that I know should have, or I feel should have the formula. It's like, okay, well, she's got a few records out there. She's invented herself and now she can just cruise on that. But it doesn't feel like that to you, does it?
No, far from it.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say old school, old world, the known, you, Billie Eilish, and beyond the future? Like, where do you see like yourself floating in the past and bumping up against the present? Do you hear new music that you're like, I don't know what the kids are on these days, but I ain't going there? Or are you excited, or are you jealous, or do you wish you had been born to make music in the 60s? Like, go.
Oh my gosh. All of those things, Ben. No, it is. There's always these ideas floating around in your head, especially when you're comparing your stuff to this, which is silly. You should never do that. But I think.
But you do it.
it's a natural thing to do, and you want to get the best out of yourself, and you're wondering what that is in comparison to what people enjoy now. I always will believe in a good song. I think that is timeless. Don't bore us, get to the chorus. Something that's authentic and honest will always reach someone else. It doesn't really matter how it's packaged. The packaging is sort of what changes throughout the decades with production. But a great song is a great song. I live across the street from, Strawberry Fields, and they're out there singing Penny Lane every day. Every day is a different person with their own version of Penny Lane.
Wow.
But I think for me, I would like to get into, everything is very spontaneous these days. It's very live. It's quicker than it used to be. You can put out an album tomorrow and record it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And having those types of ideas instead of, this old fashioned thing with making a record. I heard recently that bringing it back to Kanye, that he put out a record, an album, it came out, and then he decided he wanted to change the mix after the album had already been out,
Yep.
Like things like that. Hey, why not do it that way? So I think it's up to us.
I did something sort of like that once.
Yeah. After it was out already.
It was out.
I mean,
didn't like the mix.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's all in our heads, bro. Why walk this way? I mean, I find myself making rules in my own house. This cup goes here and this goes here. It's like, well, how about we switch it up? Let's try something new. That's partly why I'm moving out of this apartment, because I just want to challenge my status quo. And I really think that's what the new generation does sometimes more easily.
Well, that's what you just said. You said you want to challenge your status quo.
My own status quo.
I have not heard someone say that, even though I think people mean that sometimes. You didn't say the. And that's just one of the things that makes you awesome. It's like, you're going to challenge your status quo.
I must have heard that somewhere.
You must have heard it. Yeah. You heard it in one of my interviews.
Exactly.
No, but I think that is important. It's like you have created your rules from the last pair of shoes. You were wearing a pair of shoes and you feel like you don't want to throw your old shoes away, but it's time.
It's time to try on some new ones, and you won't know. Yeah. That's brilliant.
A creative exercise that can be accomplished over the next week. You'll be the boss of us.
A creative
New week's resolution.
exercise.
This week, every day, I will.
Every day. Is this for singers and songwriters or for everyone?
This is for anyone that everyone's creative. So for anyone who's making anything, but it can be specific if you would prefer.
Well, okay. I have two ideas. One, because it's hard to listen to new music for me, because I just want my go-to favorite hits. So I think maybe texting a friend every other day or every day and saying a different friend every time, what song are you listening to that you really love right now? And then you have a new song, unless it's the same one you like already. So there's one idea.
Okay, well, in that event, will you listen? I'd say still listen to that song, but listen to it with your friend's vibe in mind. They may be hearing it different than you, right?
In a totally different key.
They may be hearing it like a synthetic mode shift.
Exactly.
Jeremy might be going, the fuck
He's
is
like,
that?
What? I just can't understand. I'm going to try this because I haven't tried it yet. And I think that it's also a nice reason to reach out to people that maybe you haven't talked to in a while.
I like that. Let's go with that.
Let's go with that. Cool.
Text a friend every day. Get their music, a song recommendation.
One song, not an album, just one.
One song. Anything about where we should be when we're listening to it? I mean, you don't want someone mowing their lawn or
please.
In a meeting or something, right?
Yeah, no, disclaimer. You should not be driving or riding a bike when you do this.
That's
I
right.
like in the morning time is a good time with coffee. How about that? Or whatever your breakfast of choice.
Dig it. It's good.
Nice.
Gives some framework. I'm starting to realize people need some framework. I do because I'll put it off.
Oh my God, I'm the worst procrastinator. So hard. Yeah.
I have a hard time listening to music, new music or any music, because I listen to a few bars of it sometimes and I get inspired to do something or to make music or to just do something else. I'm like, oh yeah, that was good. And then and then I bounce off the wall just to go do something else because then
it
makes me crawl out a window.
There you go. Then that's all you needed for that moment. We don't have to finish. You don't even have to finish the book you started. If you got something out of the first few pages. Yeah.
You ever walk out of movies or plays or shows?
Yeah. I've done that at shows where I felt I get this charged me. I appreciate this. And now I'm going to go now. But not if I was one of 10 people there. But if it was a full house and nobody noticed, I'd do the moonwalk. But just slowly.
I definitely know. For me, it's not the moonwalk. I don't have the technique. It's more like
right. Exactly. Exactly. You're on a roller and you're rolling.
Remember the auto-tune the news and that one I'm backing up song?
No.
Listen to that as your first. This is your first one. It's from me. Find the backing up song. Okay. Auto-tune the news. That's me getting out of the show. I'm backing up.
Exactly. I know the feeling. Well, thank you for my assignment, backing up.
Basically, what I'm doing is I'm taking an idea that you have that's like a song could be this. And then I just take it and run with it and make a thing. I'll pull some audio out of the things that you said, get some of the wisdom out of that. Anything occur to you that I can make a thing from that we can have a song from?
Well, just something. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down this way. This way. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down this way. This way. Is that was I in a key?
You were basically you were so close to C.
I was a little bit above C. Should I do it again in C?
Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah. Should I try it again? Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down this way. This way. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down. in tune? I can't tell.
Yeah. No, you're totally on. I love that.
You can auto tune me. Exactly.
This will be. We're gonna T-Pain the fuck out of that.
Please do. Oh, spend. Yeah, nice. Ooh, that's so pretty. Hey, spend the day trying to figure out. Nice. Love that. Woo! Hey.
Here's this. You okay? Well,
very cool.
That was done. Okay,
that was done.
Check.
Album done.
Done. That's in the can. Fuck it, 90 that stuff and get it out the fuck out of the studio. Get the gaffer tape. We need some more fucking duct tape.
Another one.
Number one.
Time to order some dinner. Order some food.
That's right. We got to order the buckets of fried chicken in. The engineer's wife is here. She's got the baby out on a blanket, changing the diaper.
Who has the menu book? Remember the menu books?
Yes. With about 5 of them that had been out of business.
Exactly.
Thai Town's not open anymore?
Damn. Fuck. Damn.
Thanks for coming on my little podcast.
My pleasure. Ben, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you. You seem good.
Hey.
You seem...
I'm good. I'm all right. Thank you. Likewise.
Good luck with all the moving.
Thank you so much. Yes. I don't know where I'm going, but I will let you know once I get there.
Oh, really? You don't have a place picked out or anything? Going to be in the city?
I don't know. I really don't. I think I'll just Airbnb for a second.
Well, I've got a friend, very successful producer, who was Airbnb-ing for about a decade. As long as it's been Airbnb. As soon as it happened, he was just doing that.
I love that.
He had some of my shit at his house. I had to come get it. He was like,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel
it's not
nomadic.
Good to me anymore.
Oh, jeez. Damn that guy.
Yeah.
Damn him.
He's worthless now.
Of course.
Couch surfing asshole.
Should I try it again? Spent the day trying to figure out why it's so going down. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's so going down this way. This way. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down. Spent the day trying to figure out why it's all going down this way. This way. You can auto tune me. Spent. Yeah, nice. Oh, that's so pretty.
Hi, if you're enjoying listening to Lightning Bugs, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps a lot. Thank you so much for watching Lightning Bugs on YouTube. Check out more episodes and subscribe if you have not already. You can also listen to Lightning Bugs wherever podcasts may be found.